You're listening to Cinematic Adventures, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
Good morning, Vietnam!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Badges? We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
You make me want to be a better man.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
He's looking at you, kid.
I've always depended on the kindness of strangers.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Would you be shocked if I put on something more comfortable?
You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cinematic Adventures. If you're listening to us on the go, you can find us on the Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio apps. I think we're also on Pandora, and you can always find us on Facebook at Cinematic Adventures or our website, themisfitfaction.com. As always, I'm Paul, one of your hosts, and with me today is Sean. Sean, how are you today?
I'm good, Paul. How are you?
I am doing well, thank you for asking. And making her fourth appearance on Cinematic Adventures for Mel Brooks months. It is Melanie from Bibliophiles Assemble. Melanie, how are you today?
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
I'm going to edit a little
catch.
bit.
Good
Yeah,
catch.
That was a close one. Yeah. But so we are here. We're talking about number 4 on our list of Mel Brooks movie months. I keep saying months. Yeah, it's weird. We're talking Blazing Saddles today. Sean, give us some thoughts on Blazing Saddles.
Oh, Blazing Saddles is Mel Brooks' first foray into, I guess you could say, the satire. His first movie, of course, was Producers, which, in a way, was satirizing, Broadway and all that stuff. But this was his first where his career went in that direction, where every one of his movies was a spoof of a genre.
Yep, and which is this spoofing?
This is spoofing the Western.
The spaghetti Western.
The spaghetti Western or Western.
The first time I ever heard spaghetti Western, I watched the whole movie and I was like,
"Where's the spaghetti?"
Yeah, that was me sitting there as a child.
Yeah, I never realized as a kid. I was like, what do you mean spaghetti Western?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Because it was filmed in Italy.
Where it was much cheaper to film.
Much cheaper and.
That makes sense.
So, because again, the West, you think, obviously, America.
I think, us being later generation millennials, we never really saw, we were way past the spaghetti Western phase. Westerns are very few and far between now.
Westerns, when we were born, Westerns were already a dying art form. They still are. I mean, it's rare if you see a Western. I mean,
the last one we saw in a theater was, what's the one where they all die? Spoilers. The Hateful Eight?
Hateful Eight, yes. And that was, Quentin Tarantino. I still haven't seen that movie. I gotta watch it, though. Oh,
no, I'm thinking of, what's the one that they redid with Denzel and Chris Pratt?
Oh, The Magnificent Seven.
That's it. See, I knew it was a number thing.
No, that was a good one. In terms of not a remake, Hateful Eight is considered a Western. Really good one back in early 2000s, Open Range. Costner directed.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent movie. But it is very rare when you see a Western.
I think, though, Melanie and I just started watching Westworld. Which isn't
on HBO.
Not necessarily a Western itself, but it has a Western feel to it. It's complicated. It's a theme park, but I think shows like that really kind of keep that genre alive. I think Westerns do better when they're dealing with other genres except cowboys and aliens. You remember that one?
God, that was such a letdown, that movie.
That movie had everything going for it. It was Daniel Craig at the height of his...
That was. And Harrison Ford. I remember the trailer, and we were just like...
Jon Favreau?
Yeah, Olivia Wilde.
Easy, Sean.
Saying.
Yeah, you do like you some Olivia Wilde. But I really can't think of any other Western movies that stick out. I mean, Back to the Future 3?
Yeah, it's a Western. Silverado.
I don't know what that is.
You've never seen it?
I've heard of it, but I don't.
Good movie.
The Lone Ranger.
Lone Ranger. Disney would like to forget that movie.
Especially now. But Melanie, did you ever watch Westerns as a kid?
No.
No, not really.
It was really never on my radar, to be honest. When I think of Western, even now, I think of Clint Eastwood.
That's fair. That's really fair.
So really the extent of my Western.
Well, that was what I always got
exposure.
from Back to the Future 3, Clint Eastwood.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, as I got a little older, I would watch like the John Ford Westerns, The Searchers, The Stagecoach, which are fantastic. I mean, I highly recommend them.
Well, Melanie and I are big. We enjoy gaming. We have our PlayStation 5 down here, but I've never played Red Dead Redemption that everybody talks about.
I did once upon a time. It was pretty cool. It also reminds me it kind of reminds me of like a Tarantino film. Like that's kind of the vibe that I get when I played that game. Just I don't know that.
It was never a genre that I gravitated towards, but it's a badass genre though. Like,
yeah.
Well, it's also
John Wayne.
It's also again, John was dead when we were basically old enough to start going to movies, and back in the 50s, 40s, 50s, even obviously much earlier, westerns were even on TV.
Yeah.
Look at all the old. I mean, if you turn on TV, back in the day, turn on TV Land, all the shows were like westerns. Bonanza,
like 1930s,
Gunsmoke.
40s,
yeah.
Actually, my favorite representation of the Old West, Bill and Ted.
There you go.
Yep. The first time they go back in time.
A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Oh, you know what? That is a good. We love that movie.
We do.
For some
it's
reason,
grown on me since the first time I saw it,
and we liked it to begin with.
We did, but it's grown on me more.
It's even funnier because that movie apparently was like critically
it's destroyed.
Even though Ted was like lauded, people loved Ted. Even Ted 2, though. I think it took a dip in quality.
It took a dip, but it's still funny.
Yeah, but I loved A Million Ways to Die in the West. That would be a fun episode one day. We'll do Western Month, all 4 episodes.
There we go.
Yeah, that'll be fun. But so let's jump into, what do you think, Sean? Any behind the scenes first, cast first, plot first?
That's
cast,
really what we've been
you
doing.
can do that.
Who wants to do the cast list? Nose goes, so that's Melanie. She's going to do the cast.
I'm not.
She's not gonna do it. Sean, you want to start
Sure.
doing the cast list? Yeah.
Alrighty. So the star of the movie is Mr. Cleavon Little as Sheriff Bart. Now, fun fact again, as we talked about in the History of the World Part 1, Richard Pryor, who is a writer on this film, was Mel Brooks' first choice to play Sheriff Bart. Now, the studio, I guess it was already known that Pryor was into different types of substances, so the studio would not insure the movie if Richard Pryor was cast as the character. So he ended up casting Cleavon Little, who I think steals this movie. I mean,
he's
as
incredible.
much as I would have loved to have seen, very much like Gregory Hines, I would have loved to have seen Richard Pryor in the role.
Yeah.
But you didn't lose anything, because Cleavon Little, I think, just hits this role out of the ballpark. I mean, he is hysterical, just hilarious. We have Mr. Gene Wilder as the Waco Kid. And again, Gene Wilder, not the first choice to play that character. In fact, it was first offered to John Wayne. Which, looking back on it now,
Thank God.
at the time it would have been a coup to cast John Wayne in a movie like this. But looking back on it now, I don't know if this movie would have been the same. I don't think it would have held up.
No.
They did end up casting another actor by the name of Gig Young, who actually turned out to be an alcoholic and collapsed on set on the first day of filming. So Gene Wilder was kind of like a very, very rushed replacement.
And he kills it too.
Oh, he kills it too, because he's not the typical guy you'd see in a Western, but I think he plays the role just so well. And
he's also very subdued in this.
Yeah,
like he's not Willy Wonka energy.
No,
he's not
even young Frankenstein energy. He's just very laid back.
I die every time though he takes the swigs, and he's taking like giant swigs out of those bottles. I remember Mel and I were watching it, and we're like, oh, okay, all right, guy.
It's very similar to like John Belushi in Animal House when he like chugs the entire bottle of Jack Daniels, and I'm just like, that's got to be like iced tea or something. Like that.
Well, it's funny. We were talking about this when we were going over to your house last night to have pizza and watch Spaceballs, because that's what we do on the weekends. I was talking. I can't have beer with food because I drink it differently than I drink water. And she looked at me like I was crazy, and I was like, you know how you could chug water, but you can't chug beer?
Yeah.
That same thing.
No,
like,
I agree.
Even these actors who were like just chugging iced tea, I'm like, I'm still impressed. But yeah.
So those are the two leads. Then we have Slim Pickens as Taggart, who is one of Hedley Lamarr's henchmen.
If your name is Slim Pickens, you need to make something of yourself in the entertainment business.
Oh, absolutely. And that fits perfectly because he was a Western, style actor, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen Dr. Strangelove. He is the guy that rides the bomb down at the end.
It's the best.
It's one of the most iconic scenes in cinema history,
and still one of my favorite lines in all of movies. Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room. It still gets me.
And then we get to some usual suspects in a Mel Brooks film. Harvey Korman appearing in his first Mel Brooks film as Hedley Lamarr. Oh wait, no, it's Hedley. Hedley Lamarr.
Hedley.
Madeline Kahn as Lily Von Stupp. Mel Brooks makes his first appearance in one of his own movies. He plays the governor, La Petamane, and he also plays an Indian chief, which is a fun little cameo. He actually has a third role in the movie. I don't know if you guys noticed him. I'm guessing you did.
I did.
In the line of all the bandits and stuff, he plays one of the bicycle gang. You got to look for him, but once you know he's there, you can't miss him.
Yeah. That scene when they're going through all the we'll get to it when we go through the actual plot, but when you see the guys, they have the motorcycles, and they're attached to their belts. Major Monty Python vibes with that one.
Oh yeah,
like the horses with the coconuts because they can't afford real horses. Oh, I love it.
And then those are the stars, but then you have some good other actors in here. Burton Gilliam as Lyle, the sort of henchman to Taggart. Alex Karras as Mongo, who
good old Mongo.
And then Alex Karras, was a professional football player. I don't know if this was the first thing he ever did acting-wise, but he went on to have a decent career in the acting world. Mm-hmm. David Huddleston as one of the townspeople, Olson Johnson. You
mean Jimmy Olsen?
No.
Oh, sorry, wrong genre.
No. And then we have a cameo later on in the movie by Mr. Dom DeLuise.
Dom? Mm-hmm.
You never hear his name in the movie, but apparently his name is Buddy Bizarre, which actually fits his character perfectly.
Yeah.
So those are the main cast members that we get.
I dig it. This is a great cast.
It really is.
For a lot of people, myself included, this was a lot of the first time being exposed to a lot of these actors. Mm-hmm. I really don't want Cleavon Little.
I don't know. I always said Cleavon. I don't know if it's correct.
He was more of a theater actor before this, so it makes me sad that I didn't see him in more.
Yeah, I don't think he really had a big movie career. I don't know if he was mainly more television, more stage.
Well, looking at his filmography, really the first thing that I see, Blazing Saddles is 74. He has some other things, but nothing really that I look at. I'm like, oh my god, I know that movie. Or I know that project, or
Once Bitten.
Once Bitten, I know.
Jim Carrey. Yeah, there you go. Before he was Jim Carrey. Oh, we should do an episode at some point. Maybe when we start people's first movies where they're really not their usual persona.
Weird starts to actors' careers, In Living Color for Jim Carrey. That this. Oh, you can't make up. I love that stuff. But I like seeing an actor where they start and then where you know them from. It's always a lot of fun.
Bless you.
Thank you. That was really unprofessional, and I'm going to edit it out. But anyway.
You're fine.
So let's start going into the plot. Sean, do you have the plot? Unless, do we have anything else about the cast that we want to talk about?
No.
Do we have a favorite in the cast?
Ooh, that's tough.
Mm.
I do love, obviously, Cleavon Little and Gene Wilder. I just love Harvey Korman.
Yeah.
I really do. He's just so funny, and it really just anything he does is just laugh out loud hysterical.
I would say for me it's Cleavon Little, just because he has some of the funniest lines.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so really quick, we're also going to say that this movie was a product of its times.
Yes.
And it's also satire. So any discussions that we are having are a reflection of that. So, but when he pops out, he goes, "Where are the white women at?" We all started giggling. They had some great one-liners, and for an actor, I'm sure he had reservations about some of the things that were said in this movie, some of the things that were done in this movie.
I know back the Burton Gilliam, the guy who plays Lyle, the guy at the beginning, he went up to him and said, "I'm really sorry," and Cleavon Little said, "If I really thought you meant this, then we'd have a problem. I know you don't mean it.
Yeah,
it's the movie."
And which I think is an important point.
Absolutely.
What movie did it? Django Unchained.
Yeah.
Another Western I totally forgot about. I watched it once and I didn't like it because it's not a thing about Tarantino. I really enjoy Tarantino's work, but just the amount of, the language use and then the violence, like, it was just a little too much for me personally. But Melanie, did you have a favorite character in this movie? Oh, tough one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Harvey Korman also, just because he. I don't know.
It's
I
tough,
don't really
right?
have...
He's got that like Snidely Whiplash kind of villain.
Like
it's cartoon villain. He's like just so perfectly evil, and
this movie's a great example of a cartoon coming to life in the right ways.
Yes.
Like there have been movies in the past where they try and make it like cartoon-like, and it just doesn't work. Son of the Mask is a great example.
Oh, God.
Have
Cleavon
you guys...
Little. I mean, his character. It's like Bugs Bunny. I mean, he even has his own Bugs Bunny moment in the movie, which is hysterical. So I think that's where the vibe they were. Not the vibe they were going for, but it was definitely a vibe in the movie that this character is just so he could easily be a live action Bugs Bunny because he's just
It's
well, this was the early 70s.
Early
70s. 1974 this was released. So I think at that time Looney Tunes was really big for kids and adolescents just in general. So I think having those little bits and pieces, it was making it culturally relevant. Also, Gene Wilder, there's a little quote, a little fun fact trivia.
Oh, here it comes, Melanie's fun facts.
Gene Wilder said of the film that they smashed racism in the face, but they're doing it while you laugh. So I think also going along with the satire genre, that Mel Brooks, I feel, really created the foundation for. This is what he did. He made movies, satirical movies, and you can look and see people try to reference him and kind of pay homage to him in their movies now when they're creating satire movies.
Yeah.
But this is what he did. He was able to take, and this is, I think, what stand-up comedy really is all about too. So you're taking these really emotional and serious topics, and you're able to flip them so you can laugh about them. Because if you can laugh about something, you're able to get through life. It makes it a little bit lighter to digest and to deal with. And I think that was one of the main points of Mel Brooks movies.
Yeah, there hasn't been that beautifully said. Yeah, there hasn't been a filmmaker since that really knows how to, because it's one thing to push the envelope, it's another thing to push your agenda, but to have people laughing and then because full disclosure, Melanie never saw this movie before we watched it, so before she started watching it, I had to say, I was like, it's a good story, he wins as the sheriff, and she's like, I know, you weirdo, let me watch the movie.
Yeah, so it took me 3 times to actually finish the movie. So I tried watching it on my own. First 10, 15 minutes, I was like, I don't know if I can sit here and listen to all of this. I don't know, maybe this is one Mel Brooks movie that I can't finish. And then sitting down a second time with you, we were just too tired.
that was just a pure circumstance.
And then, finishing it earlier before we started recording today with Sean, so all 3 of us were sitting there. I personally really enjoyed the second half of the movie more. I think I laughed a little bit more because I felt like it was just, you mentioned, Paul, pushing the agenda a little bit too much. While I know that it's historically relevant, it's still very hard to watch and to laugh about stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, for me personally anyway, so it's just okay. And then finally it was all right, they're lightening up the story a little bit more, and they're not saying certain words as much, and it's more comedy at that point.
I also like that this movie, the jokes aren't the racial point. It's not like we said this racial thing, so that's funny. It's the reactions of the characters, especially the Sheriff Bart. He's like, "What? You weirdos!" That.
Yeah,
I think
not
that
the
adds.
Punchline.
The punchline is the reactions of the other characters. The punchline isn't there's a big difference between a racial joke and a joke that's funny. From a racial undertone. Yeah. So that's what satire really should be. Look at the scary movies. The scary movies started off gross out humor, but Scary Movie 3, when they changed the directors, that it changed the way they told jokes was different. I think I'm in the minority where I like
You are in the minority.
I love Scary Movie 3. I think it's hilarious. Scary Movie 4 is even better. But that's just me. I love Scary Movies 1 and 2. But
disclaimer, I don't like any of those movies.
That's fair.
Sorry.
They're definitely a teenage boy funny movie. We saw the second one when we were at 13.
Didn't you go to the movies to see it?
Yes,
yeah.
we did.
Yeah, that was Sean's 8th grade graduation.
What movie do you want to go see? Scary Movie 2. Duh.
I just wanted to see the ghost fall down the stairs. That's all I wanted. I saw it in all the trailers. I was like, I love physical comedy. Physical comedy is my favorite. When we talk about Spaceballs next week, like, we watched it last night, and every time Rick Moranis does something physical, I just die. Like, it's always hilarious, and, it's Rick Moranis.
He just sells it. He's just...
Fine. How are you?
His
How
facial
you guys
expressions, everything. He's so funny. But I think also, like with Mel Brooks movies, that's a large portion of it is the physical comedy as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So, anytime someone gets punched in the face or like, obviously it's not a real horse, but like the horse gets punched in the face in this movie.
Your reaction to that
and
was
I was
great.
like, oh, God.
I was waiting, and I was just like, oh, please find this funny, Melanie. Please find this funny.
When it comes to animals, we have to be very careful with Melanie in the house because...
Yeah.
Yep. She
super protective.
She loves her animals. And
I do.
Yeah. But
hey, someone's got to look out for them,
Heck yeah. I mean, that's how we got almost 4 cats. Luckily, we only got 1. We almost got 4 cats, though. Just...
I mean, sadly, we only got 1, unfortunately.
Well,
but all the rest got good homes, so that's the good thing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about
You want to jump into the plot?
Yeah.
The plot.
All right, Sean, start it off.
Oh,
do it dramatic like.
We are in the American frontier of 1874.
Well,
right off there, I mean, the movie starts off with this great, theme song, which is not a typical. It's more of a TV show.
Well, apparently,
song, in my opinion,
Mel Brooks did not tell the person who wrote it that this was a satire movie.
No, he went. Yeah, he went out and belted out this song as if it was for real.
A dramatic western.
It was. I love the opening where it's the Warner Brothers logo. You get the fire, the blazing saddles. Zooms into the picture, and you get that whip sound, and then just the music starts, and it's just gets you going right off the bat.
Oh, absolutely,
gets you going right
Mel
off
Brooks
the bat.
didn't think that Frankie Lane, I believe is his name.
I think so, yeah.
He didn't think that he would sing it with conviction if he knew that it was an actual comedy movie. So he just let him believe that it was a dramatic western, and so when Frankie came in and was singing the theme song, he sang it with conviction.
See, the funny thing is, though, I don't find that song to be something that would be the beginning of a dramatic western, though. So, like, that to me is even funnier that he didn't know it was a comedy, but yet he wrote this song that when you hear it, you're like, okay, I don't know, just doesn't feel like you would hear that at the beginning of a serious western. But
I say when we get some major production value in our stuff, we actually have somebody do a theme, like a quick 30-second opening theme song for our show, and it's like super dramatic. Or it's just Butters going, loo, 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 I got some apples.
Anything to tie that in. Huh?
I really worked hard on that one.
Yeah.
Actually, I listened to a podcast where it's called Mr. Sunday Movies. If you guys haven't heard it, it's really good. We're better. Don't tell them I said that. Under any circumstances, they're really good. But they do a little self-made opening theme song. Michael Rosenbaum does one too.
Oh, nice.
On his podcast called Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. So you can imagine how the theme song goes. But anyway.
God.
All right, 1874. Hit it, Sean.
So new railroad is under construction, and we meet, obviously the Cleavon Little character. He is selected along with one of his friends to explore the track because there's now rumors that there is quicksand that's going to...
Quicksand was one of the best tropes up until like 1990. Like... Growing up, I thought Quicksand was going to be a much bigger challenge than it really ever was.
What other movie was there Quicksand? And I'm just,
Princess Bride.
Princess Bride.
Oh, that's right.
You were going in the woods.
Looney Tunes did Quicksand. The cartoons were Indiana Jones did Quicksand.
I just feel like Quicksand is just the most terrifying way to die.
I know, but it's like such a
never
trope.
ending. And
when's the last time you heard about Quicksand in the news?
Death by quicksand.
I always thought Stop, Drop, and Roll was also going to be another issue.
The sinkholes are kind of like that's like the new thing. Like
those are terrifying.
The new thing. But that's the new thing. Apparently.
One of the more popular topics in the news.
I just make it scarier.
Sinkholes terrify me because you don't know where they are, what happened,
and it's just.
And then just all of a sudden, the land just opens up under you.
But still, that's a pretty badass way to go. I got eaten by the earth.
pretty much.
Yeah, when you get to
I
heaven.
love how I was about to say, who are they talking to?
When you get to heaven.
It's like Boba Fett. It's like,
oh yeah, meant to do it.
I'm all good.
Yeah,
all right. So they take a hand cart and they head down the railroad tracks, and of course they run into quicksand. And I love this scene. They're like, "Is it just me, or is the Earth rising?" And he goes, "Whatever it is, I hate it." And of course they call for help. Help comes, but they save the hand truck before they save them. We Danny lost a $400 hand cart.
I love it.
So they get out of the quicksand, and of course, the Cleavon Little character is Bart. Just Bart.
Mm-hmm.
Not Sheriff Bart yet, but he's just Bart. And I love this. He goes, "Don't do it." He goes, "No, I got to." He just hits him over the head with a shovel. Right in the middle of him giving orders to his henchmen, and he goes, "Tell him that I said ow." And then of course the other guy's like, "Tell him that I said ow." Gotcha. And walks away. Mm-hmm. See, that to me is just right there. That's just, it's great.
Quintessential Mel Brooks.
It's perfect. So we cut to now to Hedley Lamarr's office.
Hedley.
It's Hedley. That's again very similar to the Count the Money in History of the World Part 1.
It's Monet.
I know.
She beat me to it.
There you go. See?
We were watching Spaceballs last night, and as soon as they started going through the movies, I just hear her go, "History of the World Part 1."
Oh, with the different jokes.
When they're counting the movies, going through the movies
VHS.
to get to Spaceballs, the VHS.
I saw it.
Yeah, that's. I think that is your favorite Mel Brooks movie.
No, it's second favorite.
What's your first favorite?
Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Oh yeah, that's fair. All right. Wow.
Even Sean knew.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
So
like
Taggart, the head flunky to Hedley. Wow, I'm gonna keep doing
Hedley.
Just say Lamarr.
Just say Lamarr.
Lamarr.
Hedley Lamarr informs him that they've run into quicksand, and the only way to continue the railroad is to go through Rock Ridge. So they deviate a plan to pretty much chase everybody out of that town.
Mm-hmm.
And so we cut to now Rock Ridge, and you know what? I thought about it. This might be my favorite scene in the entire movie. This little peaceful little song is playing, this little town of Rock Ridge, and all of a sudden they all start storming in, and then the music just starts getting up, and they're like talking about how they've come and they're chasing us out. I love it.
Breathe, Sean. You can
I
make it through this.
I can.
Come on, you can do it.
My favorite part is where they rope the one guy, flip him over into the mud, and start pulling him away. And he goes, "Well, that's the end of this suit."
Oh, I love it.
Man.
You can't make this up.
And they punch the old woman. Have you ever seen such cruelty?
Sean, I don't think Sean can do the plot.
I don't know if
he's
I can
having
do
a lot
the
of
plot.
trouble. Do you want me to take
go
over?
for it, man.
All right.
I'll just cut in when I just find stuff funny.
After they trash the town, the townspeople demands that Governor William
J. LePetamine.
Thank you. Appoint a new sheriff to protect him. Can we just talk about how super perverted he is? Mel Brooks did not care.
Well, he was playing Groucho Marx.
Yeah, no.
He was just doing his best Groucho Marx.
I loved
impression.
it.
Well, the scene opens up with his face in his secretary's chest.
Yes, so...
Hello, boys. Have a good night's work. I missed you.
Subtle like a brick, Mel Brooks. Imagine, the casting call that Mel Brooks put out, and he's just, sitting there in his room late at night. She's going to work in this town forever. But, so they convince him to get a new sheriff, and Lamarr is the one who persuades him to appoint Sheriff Bart. So, because, he's about to be executed. They get him beforehand.
Well, he sees him, because he doesn't know that the same guy... Well, no, he does know, I'm sorry. Taggart doesn't know that they're going to make him the sheriff. It's Hedley Lamarr sees him about to be hung.
Yeah.
With the hangman, same one we see later on in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
What are you, about a 33 and a half?
Well, I got 2 minutes home sick with the flu, and it's utter chaos down here.
Mel Brooks was like early Adam Sandler. If you were friends with him, you're just in all of his movies.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But I like Adam Sandler now, where he just doesn't care.
He don't care.
Yeah, he doesn't need to.
Oh, all the money. Thank you.
I always loved the church scene. When they're all just when they're all just singing the hymns, and it's like our town is turned into.
So
I was always, again, as a kid, That I always found that funny.
Yeah. So Lamarr convinces the governor to appoint him after saving him from the hangman. Yeah. And because he thinks that it'll make the townspeople so upset that they'll just leave.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Oddly, like, I don't want to get into that, but so this is my favorite scene in the entire movie. So they're all like ready to like celebrate the new sheriff
with the
guy who can't talk. So
Gabby Johnson.
So Bart gets there, and this I'm telling you, this is my favorite scene. He takes himself hostage to protect himself. I was dying watching it, and it's just always the funniest thing.
And then he gets into the sheriff's office and he goes, "You are so talented,
yeah,
and they are so dumb."
I love it. It also, but you know, it shows how smart he is. I like it. What were you gonna say, Mel?
Well, that was actually inspired by something that happened to Mel Brooks when he was a kid.
Really?
So if you give me just a moment.
I'll do the theme song. Fun facts with Melanie.
Oh, I didn't
Fun facts, I'm making it up. Fun facts, she's still looking for it.
Yeah.
Fun facts, I should learn how to edit.
Well, did you like, before he gets to the town, he's got the Gucci...
oh, yeah, the Gucci
bag.
I like when he goes back up after the welcome banner rolls back up,
and
he
pulls
it back down. He's like,
"Excuse me while I whip this out."
Ah!
And the whole town just goes like, "Ah!"
Well, at least
and
nobody
then you got
started
Count Basie and his orchestra with just the orchestra randomly in the desert.
Oh yeah, no big deal.
I love it.
They don't care. They care nothing. So, Melanie, did you find it yet? Or?
I did.
Oh, fun facts with Melanie.
Here we go. Okay, so the scene where Bart aims his gun at his own head to save himself from the townspeople, it's based on an event in Mel Brooks' childhood. So he said once that, to his disbelief, he stole some gum and a water pistol from a drugstore. And when the store worker tried to stop him, Brooks held the worker at bay with the very water pistol he had just taken from the store.
That's so perfect. I love it.
That's so Mel Brooks. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
That's great. I never knew that.
I didn't know that.
We need to make a theme song for Fun Facts with Melanie.
I just tried.
Well, that's the key. You tried.
Well, when we get a soundboard,
I know that's what I'm saying.
We'll pre-record a little something.
That's on the list.
Fun facts. Boop.
Yep. Yeah. But then somebody's gonna be sitting here after a few beers, going, click. No, stop it. It's just random sound.
I'm out of fun facts, guys. I got nothing left.
I got nothing.
Talking about like something.
Melanie starts making up her own fun facts.
Melonie's not even on this episode.
Fun facts with Mel.
That would be actually a fun little bit. Just made up fun facts. I could see Ronnie doing something like that. Like, fun fact, this movie was filmed on leaves, not even film. Like, shut up, Ronnie.
And you hear me from the background, Ronnie, that's not even a fun fact.
No, it wasn't. That's just all you hear in the back.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, by the way, Melanie has taken over producer credit now for both of our shows, in case you guys didn't know. Filmmaker, director, and producer.
Just try my best, guys.
Just trying her best. So after he takes his
clapboard operator.
Clapboard operator. Still struggling with that one.
Keep a lookout.
It's a tough job.
I'll keep you posted.
It's a tough job.
Keep a lookout for bloopers this week.
Yeah, you're welcome in advance.
No, you are very welcome. But so after he gets into the sheriff's department, he meets the Waco Kid, Jim. But his friends call him Jim. Only Gene Wilder can deliver that line so flawlessly.
And then you got the Waco Kid. He had the fastest hands in the West. And he goes, in the world. I killed more men than Cecil B. DeMille.
I love how when he does like the chess piece, you can see him throw it away.
Oh, yeah.
So that way when he opens his hands, it's gone. Like he goes to grab it, and you just see him like toss it. It's hilarious. But yeah, the fastest hands in the world, and they're trying to work. They try to work together to, change the people's attitude.
Oh yeah, that went over. That goes over real well.
Yeah. So first, the bad guys send Mongo. Their stereotypical giant dumb.
Oh well, you gotta talk about the campfire scene.
I don't have to talk about that.
That is first time in cinema history you get flatulence.
Is it really?
That is the first time in a movie you see someone fart. And not just fart.
It's an orchestra.
It's an orchestra.
Yeah, it really is.
You can still get your fart jokes on Nickelodeon.
They honestly said, it's like, all these guys did was drink coffee and eat beans.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, that would cause you to seriously,
I like A Million Ways to Die in the West when they're talking about the coal miners. That they can only eat hot, spicy food. And
they die from their own farts.
Yep, because they're just so broken. The one guy stands up and he farts and he just collapses.
Their palates are so dry that they can't. That's the only thing they can taste.
Oh man, we definitely got to do that movie at some point.
But that and then Slim Pickens comes out of his tent and he's just like, "Oh man, what a
historical accuracy." Oh, what is Sam and Dean in Frontierland? The one they go back in time, and Sam steps in horse manure, and he goes, and Dean goes, "You know what that is, Sam?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's horse." And he goes, "Authenticity."
That's a Supernatural reference.
Yep, that's a Supernatural
for those of
reference.
you who don't know who Dean and Sam are.
If you don't know Supernatural, you can find the Multiverse Fancast did a 2-part episode about Supernatural. Look it up. But anyway, so after they defeat Mungo with the exploding parcel. Candygram from Mungo.
And then you get the famous Looney Tunes theme song. And
oh my god, that's where it's from. Candygram from Mungo was from that episode of Supernatural. It was driving me crazy.
Oh, look at that.
Really?
Dean says that.
He does it?
Yeah.
I don't know. What season is that?
Season 6. 7.
So that explains
6.
why I never saw it.
Yeah. You would like it, though.
Of course.
It's called Frontierland. Yeah, check it out. They make fun of Clint Eastwood several times. But anyway, so...
Who hasn't?
Who hasn't at this point? His son. But, what's his son's name? Scott Eastwood?
Yes.
Yeah. So, they after catching Mongo, they also... The Hedley Lamarr... Hedley... tries to get Lily von Stoop to seduce him.
Madeline Kahn.
And huge backfire because...
Basically falls in love with him.
Who wouldn't? He's so charming.
But she's doing her best Marlena Dietrich impression.
Yeah,
it's perfect. It really is.
And of course, Mel Brooks musical number. We always love a good Mel Brooks musical number.
I'm tired.
That's us. That was us last night trying to watch this movie. I'm tired. But so she ends up
some of the funnier jokes with this one.
Which one?
With her, you know.
Oh yeah. What's her phrase, Sean?
Oh, bienvenue, welcome, come on in.
Yep. We're sitting here waiting to record, and all I hear is Sean practicing that in the corner.
Bienvenue, welcome, come on in.
So after they release Mungo, though, because the bad guys are bankrolling, he informs them that there's a thing about the railroads where the choo-choo goes.
Mongo only pawn in game of life.
Love it. That's always hilarious. It makes me think of Young Frankenstein when the monster starts talking at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Well, fun fact, Richard Pryor.
Fun facts with Sean.
Mel Brooks thought, Richard Pryor, he'll do all the Sheriff Bart jokes. He goes, no, he did the Mongo jokes.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
So all of Mongo, I think Richard Pryor, because I just think of Richard Pryor sitting there going like...
It'd be really funny. Oh god!
Punching the horse.
Oh, when he punches the horse, it's great.
It's just
comes into town on the
ox
because a horse couldn't carry him. But so they go check out the railroad site. Excuse me, the choo-choo place.
Choo-choo.
And they find out that the railway is supposed to go through Rock Ridge, and they're like,
dun, dun, dun.
"Oh no!"
Yeah. You guys are the best. I love it. That was perfect. I had one singing, one gasping dramatically. Oh, high quality here at Cinematic Adventures.
Oh, absolutely.
Production value increase.
Production value.
We're trying to wait for that soundboard, man.
I know. I gotta put it on the wish list. Rob will buy it. But so Taggart and his men arrive, but I love this. The Waco Kid outshoots all of them.
Oh yeah.
Did they ever explain why his hand stopped shaking?
He stops drinking.
Oh yeah, that's
you
right.
You basically assume he is.
I thought it was because he was
drinking.
Because now he was smoking.
That too.
Yeah,
calms your nerves.
A little.
I always loved that. It's like, look at this, steady as a rock. Yeah, but I shoot with this hand.
It's like in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Why don't you use the metal arm? I forget about it sometimes. I'm a righty. So after Lamarr's plans get all ruined, he recruits an army of thugs, including common criminals, motorcycle gangsters, KKK members, Nazis, and of course
Methodists. Oh god,
I love that scene where he starts yammering off all the things, and he's like trying to get the pen.
It's like, could you repeat that, sir?
I love though. That's still one of my favorite scenes when Chimal just like, look what I found. Where are the white women at? It's just, I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep laughing at it as Melanie looks at me disapprovingly.
It's funny.
Yeah. So.
And then, of course, you get the chewing gum online. Which
he is strict.
I didn't know there'd be so many.
Did you bring enough for everyone? That's like teaching.
Head them off, man. We'll catch up to them at the past.
Yep.
It's like, I hate that cliche.
So, at the edge of east of Rock Ridge, Bart introduces everybody to all the railway workers, the black, the Chinese, the Irish, everyone, and they agree to all work together to build a fake town to trick the bad guys. So in one day, they are able to build a near-perfect replica, at least of all the storefronts of Rock Ridge.
And then they realize, oh, wait a minute, there's no people.
Oh, no.
So they have to start building fake people.
Cardboard cutouts. And then, Bart and Jim and Mongo decide on a plan to slow the cowboys down. And just again, this is just, the Lepetamine Thruway. Get it. Send them back and get a load of dimes.
We're never going to get to Rock Ridge.
They still go one at a time.
Open desert, you can go around. Nah, they're like...
But you know what, though? That's a testament to people now. Even when we're driving on like the thruway or the highways, if there's a toll, nobody goes to the empty one. They all go into the same lane, like where everybody else is going. Because I think my fear is that the toll's not going to work, and I'm going to get there and I'm going to be
toll's not going to work, toll's not open, and you don't realize it.
God, yeah, terrifying.
And it's also, it stinks being stuck behind someone who's not going through a toll.
Oh,
I hate it.
Oh, the worst. So once they get through, they have to shoot the dynamite.
Yes, because the dynamite doesn't...
the pump doesn't work.
The pump doesn't work, and
so
you see the horses get blown into the sky.
Fake horses going up in the air.
Fake horses. Now, I don't know if it's on the DVD, but I always remember when they showed this movie on TV, there's a deleted scene of the governor, Mel Brooks, showing up to the fake Rock Ridge. Because he's doing like an interview with a newspaper, and they want to take pictures with and the guy goes, "Sir, these people are dummies." He goes, "Shut up, man. That's how I got elected."
That's really funny, and
it was only ever on TV I ever saw it. But again, I'm not sure. It's got to be.
It's got to be somewhere.
Deleted scenes on the Blu-ray, but I always found that scene funny.
Yeah, that's actually really funny. So after that, the Rock Ridgers. That's their gang name.
Have a nice little brawl in the streets.
It's one of my favorite movie fights of all time.
Madeline Kahn takes the Nazis and gets them drunk, and they start like singing
in German. Yep. Did they ever explain how she escaped? She was tied up before we saw her.
Tied up, but you assume that.
I feel like she could get out of knots.
Yeah, or he just lets her go after he comes up with this amazing plan, and it's like, I don't need you anymore.
What is it with Mel Brooks and like attractive women and the creepy guy that's super attracted to them, but like way over the top, and they're just like, no, get out of here, super creepy guy, like Count de Monet.
Oh, that's
yeah. It's good to be the king. Yeah, still one of my favorite lines.
Oh, it's probably the most recognizable line when it comes to Mel Brooks. I think.
Yeah.
I always thought the Ritz was. I always get that one. Or if you listen to our Men in Tights episode. How many times did we say you grew some nice boobs?
You grew some nice boobs.
I think like 12 times.
Hold the reins, man.
So they start this giant brawl that eventually makes its way onto other movie studios.
The camera pans out, and all of a sudden you see like just
Warner
1970s Hollywood. You see one, and Melanie immediately is like, "Wait, what?" What's just about to happen here?
Wait, which part? Sorry.
When you start to see like, wait, they're going out into the real world.
Oh, they're like, it pans out, and you're like, wait a minute, you're in
what's
the studio.
going on here?
Like, but then it's one of those like, of course, this is what's happening.
Of course,
it's a Mel Brooks movie,
yeah.
Which was really funny, because it ends up being this like huge brawl. And it's just like, you have your Westerners and you have your railroad. Wow.
Railroads.
Hanging out with the villagers.
Yeah, the villagers, and then it just pans out, and then it ends up coming to this.
Another Busby Berkeley homage.
Yeah.
You're doing the French mistake.
The French mistake, yeah. Voila. So with Dom DeLuise.
So good.
And then they end up getting involved. So now you have these, Westerners fighting these like
tuxedo,
beautifully dressed men, and just everyone's just like falling over each other. And then at one point, the fight scene, like they speed up, they speed it up, so everyone's moving really fast, which for me makes it even funnier because like someone's getting tossed around and who's rolling around and they're up running. It's complete chaos.
Well, it's even better because that's in the commissary, and you see the guy who's dressed like Hitler in the background just saluting at super speed.
I just noticed that the first time today. I was like,
oh, I didn't see that.
I never saw that.
Talk about breaking the fourth wall. They literally...
Well, they were doing it. There was bits of it during the movie, and then they just go full on at the end. I always love when Dom DeLuise is like, cut! What are you doing here? This is a closed set. And Slim Pickens goes like, yo, screw you. I'm working for Mel Brooks.
Not the face.
Thank you.
I miss really good fourth wall breaks. It's something that's less and less nowadays. Like Deadpool, I remember there was a big push. Like when they were like, we're going to make this Deadpool movie, everybody's like, he has to break the fourth wall. He has to. So I'm really excited when they actually put him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But I love when people look at the camera and they do like that little, like it could be subtle, like a little nod and a wink to the camera, or it could be Mel Brooks.
Yeah,
there's no in between,
which spills out into the streets.
Oh, still one of my favorite breaking the fourth wall is Robin Hood Men in Tights when Carrie Elwes just looks in the camera because the villagers are just so inept at what they're doing. It's just like,
or even Back to Supernatural when Dean looks at the camera in the 200th episode after they mentioned Destiel. But I love stuff like that, and I think it's something that's missing in movies. Movies are taken super seriously nowadays.
Well, I mean, there's serious topics. I mean, movies have always been taken seriously, but in terms of, are you talking more in terms of comedies?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I miss comedy fourth wall breaks.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we'll get back to them at some point, but
I hope so.
They don't really make these types of movies anymore.
Everybody's it's a different atmosphere. It's a different world, which I get and I totally understand. You know, we're all very progressive here, but you can't have a Mel Brooks anymore, it feels like, or even like a George Carlin, like some of those really like edgy comedians. It was a generation that like wanted that used comedy to challenge the system and challenge the world, and I frankly I miss it. I mean, you're a big fan of Louis Black, right?
Oh, I love Louis Black.
Imagine politically correct Louis Black. Ugh. Or PG Louis Black.
Not possible.
Not possible. Like I miss stuff like that, and I think our generation sorely.
Well, even Robin Williams.
Oh, Robin Williams didn't care.
No,
I loved it.
But, I mean,
but it was funny.
You watch live on Broadway, and you're just like, whoa.
Yeah, but then you get like somebody like Bob Saget who's just crass for the sake of being crass, and I don't find him funny.
Yeah,
I do find him funny just because he's so not Danny Tanner.
I think
that's what I laugh at more.
I appreciated that, but then like I rewatched one of his shows, and I was like, the jokes aren't really that. It's only because he's Danny Tanner that it's funny.
Oh no, that's agree. I'm not saying he's.
He was really good on his roast when he did his rebuttal. He did really well on that.
That was funny.
But did they ever do a roast of Mel Brooks?
No.
That'd be hilarious.
No. And it's funny, I watch on YouTube every now and then. They have the old Dean Martin roasts.
Yeah.
And just some of the stuff is just hysterical.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just the jokes are so. I mean. I wouldn't say they're not like they're very clean. They're fairly clean, but they're just so well done. I mean, Don Rickles is like the Jeff Ross of those early. But Jeff Ross, I never really found him funny. But Don Rickles was a comedy legend. Just anything he said would get you just to cry because you were laughing so hard.
I really like the Alec Baldwin roast. That one was actually really funny.
I don't find these roasts that funny.
Well,
because
I liked it because first and foremost, money went to charity. I always like those a little bit more. But who was on there that's really funny? I forget the name. He was an actor. I forget. Chris Redd. He's really funny. If you get a chance to watch it, he's really good. But so finishing up the plot of the movie though, before I get the look from producer Melanie about going over and going out of. Yep. I got. Why do you have a giant hook? Don't worry about it. Oh God. Dun. So the fight eventually, Hedley gets in a cab, and he goes to the premiere of Blazing Saddles.
Well, this is after it spills out into like the streets.
Yep.
On the street, they're running out of the Warner Brothers lot.
Yep.
Imagine filming that day. It's like, stop traffic, guys. We're gonna have all these extras.
There was one guy. They tried to close the set and shut the streets down. So this is again another fun fact. So there's this one guy who just kind of. He didn't know what was going on, and he just saw all these people running, so he stops and just is standing there and is looking around. So, they tell him, like, you got to get out of here. They shoo him off, he comes back, and he's standing there. They do it again, and Mel Brooks was like just so done with it. He was like, "Here, just sign this waiver so you can be in my movie." And he signed the waiver, and then when people are running down the street, you can see the whole group. I think I pointed it out when we were watching it before. I was like, why are they stopping? Like, they're still in frame, because you can see all the actors slow down and like look at the camera, and then they start running again. So I'm going to take a look and see if that guy's standing there, and that's the reason why they stopped, to be like, you need to get out of here.
You need to get going.
Yeah, so he added a little extra in there because that guy just...
I love it.
Was a little...
Guy, get out of the...
A little aloof.
But, and then, so he makes it to the premiere, and he's sitting in the theater.
At the Chinese theater, right?
At the Chinese...
Grounds Chinese Theater.
That's it.
Yes.
And I personally, I love seeing $3 for a movie ticket. And...
Student?
Student? You wish. And then he throws down a couple of coins for the Raisinets.
Raisinets?
Mm-hmm.
And they got the cows in the background. Yeah, that's like the prop from the movie.
Yep, yeah. I love it.
Well, on the marquee, they actually have to, if you look back, they had to go back and edit it because it had the old title on it, which was Black Bart.
Black Bart.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they had to go in and change that because that was like the temporary title.
Yeah.
So
the working title.
Yeah. So the final title wasn't decided until after the principal photography for the movie.
Oh, I love it.
So that's one thing that they had to go back in, because when we were watching it, I was like, that looks weird. Like, it looks like it was edited, and I had no idea. So another fun fact for you.
Fun facts with Melanie. But I'll make something. I'll figure something out.
It's going to end up just being that. I know you.
You're
not going to find anything else that you're.
I'll do it in one of the dramatic voices that I have on the sound on this soundboard.
Not the echoing one.
Not the echoing one.
So loud.
I know it's so loud.
But yeah, so Lamarr goes into, buys his Raisinets with the cows in the back. That was my. Sorry.
You did it. Good job.
I was the one. I was the one that deterred us. So.
And then you're trying to get us back on course.
Yeah.
But so he sees that Bart's on his way because he's watching the movie.
And he almost sits on that poor man's lap.
Yeah, a lot of lap sitting in Mel Brooks movies. With the bear in Spaceballs. Goodbye. What the hell's the matter with this thing? But so he goes outside to confront. Is he going out there to confront Bart, or
no,
just
he's
to run?
He's
just
trying to
escape. Yeah, and he gets shot right in the junk.
Yeah.
And then he falls into the wet cement. Because of course construction at night's fine.
But he writes his name before he passes, and he's
Hedley.
got Hedley with the D and the L like underlined, and then the dollar sign.
Yep. So they go in. It's Bart and Jim. They go inside to watch the rest of the movie because we hope it's a happy ending. And Bart says that he's leaving town because he needs to go protect the downtrodden and the poor, and they're like, yeah, right. He's like, I'm just bored. You guys aren't fun no more. So they ride out of town. He finds Jim, who's still eating his popcorn from the movie. So this is like breaking my reality completely.
Mm-hmm. What's going on?
Fourth wall break inside of a fourth wall break. That's like 16 walls. Deadpool. So he invites him along to go to Nowhere Special. So they ride off into the desert only to get picked up by their limousine and then drive off into the sunset. And that is Blazing Saddles.
The end.
The end indeed. So, initial thought, or not initial thoughts, but thoughts on Blazing Saddles. Favorite scenes, favorite characters, I think we already kind of did, but Sean, initial, like, what's your reaction when people ask you about Blazing Saddles? What do you tell them?
Oh, what do I tell them? If it's someone who has never seen the movie, you gotta obviously give them a little heads up to what they're about to sit through. I apologize, Melanie. I didn't know you'd never seen this movie before.
Right.
So I assumed you had. That's why I didn't say anything. I didn't know Paul also walked into this movie going like, oh, nothing's going to happen, But
I didn't think about it.
I got that text message after. But, I'm sorry. I forgot.
It obviously, the subject matter comes up, and you just got to say, the movie was made 50 years ago. It's a product of its time. For the last 20, basically almost 20 years, it's always been said you could not make Blazing Saddles now. It's just been, that is, I've been saying that since I was, in high school. It's like, oh, you can remake Blazing Saddles today. There's just no way. Fun fact, they were actually almost about to make a Broadway musical of Blazing Saddles, to complete the trifecta of, producers. Young Frankenstein made it to Broadway, Blazing Saddles. I just can't imagine that actually would have ended up going through. But for the most part, for me, I tell everybody, listen, it's a comedy classic. Just you got to go through it and see how you like it, and some people may not like it, some people like it, But for me, it's definitely top 3 of Mel Brooks movies.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think if you realize, I mean, if I had known, I won't say you all speak personally. So if I had done a little bit more research, I know how Mel Brooks movies are. I know, for the most part, what to expect. But researching a little bit and learning more about this movie beforehand, Mel Brooks wrote this movie out of anger. So he wrote it out of anger at white corruption, racism, and the Bible-thumping bigotry. Okay, and that is a direct quote. That is not me paraphrasing. So he created this to combat all of these things that were going on in the 1970s, 1960s. So it is culturally relevant. It is, very applicable, I think, to today's society as well. And I think you just have to remember that at the end of the day, it's a satire. Like that's what it is. It's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to poke fun at serious issues. Is it my favorite Mel Brooks movie? No, I would probably say it's like my 4th or 5th favorite. No.
Does
6 or 7.
It's
not in the top.
Would a second viewing warrant a better response now that you kind of know what to expect?
What to expect?
Or is this one of those ones that you'll I'll probably never watch again?
I mean, I would watch it again.
Mm-hmm. You might need a few viewings to really kind of, get your full feeling.
Well, this is a great example of a Mel Brooks movie that it's the dialogue and not so much like Spaceballs. I giggled at as a kid.
It's a lot of visual.
When I was 6 or 7,
Robin Hood Men in Tights are very more on the physical gags.
Yeah.
Tweets. Dracula Done Loving It is very much on the physical gags. Young Frankenstein, this, and Producers are more, the script and that. As a kid, you might not get half the jokes, but as an adult, much more easy to comprehend.
Well, this was only my second time seeing it. I'd only seen it the first time with you.
Oh, interesting.
But
I think also for me, not seeing this as a kid, like I've seen Robin Hood Men in Tights. I've been watching that since I was little. Spaceballs, I've only seen it with you guys, but
I find it
which is definitely a show in and of itself. Can't wait until next week. I think it's very nostalgic for me, like Mel Brooks movies. Like it's my childhood. It's things that I watched when I was little. It's funny stuff. It reminds me of like watching movies with my mom. Like there's so many other connections to it for me. For this one, it's my first time seeing this movie as an adult. It was just like, all right, I'll watch it again. It's definitely not something that I would write off. But it's not a favorite.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably my least favorite out of the ones that we've discussed so far.
And that's totally fair. Like for me personally, like this movie, like I said, it's only my second time seeing it. I do appreciate this movie. It's really hard for Mel Brooks to start with his later movies and kind of work backwards. Like I started with Spaceballs. You go from and like I saw Spaceballs when I was like 6 or 7 at the time. Like to the point where I didn't even giggle when like the Schwartz is bigger than your Schwartz is as big as mine. Like I didn't get that as a kid, but I still laughed at the whole movie. But like if I was that same 6-year-old kid and I watched Spaceballs, then Blazing Saddles, I would be like, can we watch Spaceballs again? Like that's
I'm the opposite. I'm the opposite.
Mature, I think.
Well, Sean, you were also born like a sophisticated movie critic.
Well,
I'm pretty sure you were actually born with film reels.
Possible.
Instead of an umbilical cord, they just have to cut the reel.
God. Wow. Thank you for that.
I thought that was very clever wordplay. Thank you.
Really.
Wow. Okay. Moving right along then. But it's tough for me like growing cuz also I'm a very nostalgic guy. So like movies that I saw as a kid and I think a lot of us can say the same thing. Movies you see as a child always have a very special place in your hearts even as like you get older. Like Melanie and I watched the Chipmunk Adventure a month or two ago. And we were like singing and dancing the whole thing.
Oh God, it was just so great. But I think having that nostalgic, essence is really important. I I think this is a little bit more mature.
Mm-hmm.
I think the content is definitely a little bit heavier, so that might also play into why why I consider it a little bit more mature. So it's pretty interesting watching his movies go from this to Robin Hood Men in Tights to Dracula Dead and Loving It. Like, it's just, you can see the consistency in it, but you can definitely see the difference in, topic. And he's like, all right, this is what he was pissed off about in society then, and this is what came of it. And then Dracula Dead and Loving It, Robin Hood Men in Tights, like, those are just like, okay, well, this is a good story. Young Frankenstein also, like, these are good stories. They're well known. Let me see what I can do with it and how I can kind of play with it.
So star rating for Blazing Saddles. I think I'll go first. Give you guys kind of a chance to think about it. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's a well above average movie for me. It is fun. It's like Melanie was saying, the second half really picks up, I think, and I completely agree with that once the story really gets going. But just the satire aspect and kind of attacking not only the common tropes but also the mentality of the people at the time. Like, it's a fun movie. I think I have a better appreciation watching it a second time as an adult, because I think when you and I watched it, Sean, it was 10-ish years ago.
Yeah, it was
maybe?
Probably good 10 years ago.
Our early 20s.
When we first started, I was just like, oh, you haven't seen this? Okay, we're watching this. You haven't seen this? We're watching this.
There was a lot of that.
There was a lot of that, and then Paul would always interject this one movie. It's like, oh, but you haven't seen this. I'm like, oh, do we have to?
By the way, Scott Pilgrim comes out on Friday.
There you go.
If we want to go to the movies and see Scott Pilgrim. But
Wallace!
I think we're recording that episode on Multiverse Fancast this weekend, if you want to jump in.
Maybe.
But love that. He just left. But yes, like I said, for me, this movie's definitely a 3.5 out of 5. It's it's like Melanie said, it's not my favorite Mel Brooks movie. It's not something I'll just put on, like, today's a rainy Sunday. If I'm going to put on a Mel Brooks movie, it's going to be something, like a Men in Tights or even a Spaceballs again. So, yeah, who wants to offer their thoughts?
I'll go. I think I'm around where you are, but I'll do 3.75. So not quite 4, not quite 3.5.
Just right in the middle.
Just right there.
I agree with everything that you said, Paul. It's not my favorite, but it's not my least favorite. So, I don't know. Maybe my perspective will change if I see it another time.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think so. Sean, what about you?
I'm going to be in the minority. I am giving this movie a 4.5.
Wow.
This to me is comedy classic. Obviously, it's number 6, I believe, on the AFI 100 greatest laughs in cinema history. As Melanie and I were discussing before we started recording, it's been selected to be preserved in the Library of Congress. I believe Young Frankenstein and producers are also included. So, as I said, 3 out of his first 4 movies in his career are all selected for preservation in the National the Film Library,
which is awesome.
Which, I mean, right there is, you can't have as good a success as he did basically throughout his whole career, but definitely at the beginning of his career. So for me, I was obviously, as we said in previous episodes, I was introduced to Mel Brooks through Young Frankenstein. I mean, I dragged my mother to see Dracula Dead and Loving It in theaters, and again, reason for that is I'm a huge fan of the old monster movies. So imagine a 7-year-old kid watching Dracula Dead and Loving It in a theater, and it's almost an exact carbon copy, shot by shot of the original Bela Lugosi version. I'm laughing my ass off because I'm all the scenes. My mom's just going like, "Really, this isn't funny." I find it hysterical. So of course, after seeing that movie, my parents are like, "Oh well, there are other Mel Brooks movies. You want to watch those?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, that spoofed Dracula. You've Robin Hood. They spoof Star Wars. They spoof silent movies. They spoof Alfred Hitchcock. And then they spoof westerns. Blazing Saddles probably was at least another couple years before I was allowed to see that. But my parents were very surprisingly allowed me to see this movie at a fairly young age. I think they understood that I would get what is not acceptable and what is acceptable. They did talk to me before I saw it. And not so much the dialogue. It's more, the physical gags. Obviously, as a kid, you laugh at the most. Mongo punching the horse, the farting scene. Those obviously, as a kid, you'll laugh at no matter what. As I got a little older, I started realizing more of the jokes, and it became even funnier.
Oh yeah.
So seeing this, as young as I did, it's kept up with me. But I understand, especially now, how people may react. I mean, obviously, it's a big debate. What comedy is allowed to do nowadays versus what they were allowed to do back then. So, listen, I'm always of the opinion you watch what you want to watch. You don't watch what you don't want to watch. If you don't want your kids to be, to use that language, you sit them down and you say, listen, we're going to watch this movie, but there are many things in this movie that we do not want you to say. So here we go. I mean, my parents had that conversation with me, so I understood that. So to me, that's where comedy is. People need to they have to sit their kids down and be like, this is funny, but here's a reason why you can't say this, in other situations. So I'm always of that mind that, it's on the parent's responsibility to, explain why this is not allowed, why this is allowed.
When I was
it's also an R-rated movie.
Yeah,
so
that too. I mean, it's a hard R.
Yeah.
That and History of the World Part 1 has only 2 R-rated movies, and there are many reasons why those
they
are
R. Very R.
Yeah, definitely having that conversation is
well,
important.
for me, when I was little, my parents just said, when you're a multi-million-dollar film producer, you can use this language.
Yes.
That was their encouragement for me to do better. So here we are doing a podcast in the basement.
That's a good. I like that.
Yeah. There are rules to life.
Your mom's sitting there now going like, he talks into a mic. It's close, but
hey,
it's not
my
exactly
mom participated in Fan Feedback Friday.
There you go.
Speaking of which, we're going to end out the show with reading Fan Feedback Friday.
Which one was the fan feedback?
I'm pulling it up right now because I was not prepared, and I'm just going to keep... So this was the question, and unfortunately, it's only really one answer. Finish this sentence. The movie that traumatized me most as a child was... Now we had some very good fan feedback Friday.
A lot of
the general consensus though.
Stephen King's It,
and not the new one.
No.
The
original
TV
original
movie.
One.
Tim Curry.
Oh man,
but
terrifying.
Tim Curry. There you go.
Love him, but he is terrifying.
We also got so we had It. We had the Dilophosaurus scene from Jurassic Park.
That's me.
Yep. We had Dumbo.
My mom still apologizes to me for taking me to see Jurassic Park when they did.
Jurassic Park can be
I have no
as
remember,
a kid that scene always scared me.
See, the funny thing is, she expected me to freak out at the T-Rex attacking the kids. Apparently, I was fine with that, but then once those fins opened up, I lost it.
Well, it's funny now watching it with a critical eye, and as an adult, you could see the fish wire pull the yeah. But we also had Dumbo and we had Jaws. So
Jaws I watched for the first time probably around 8-9 years old. Couldn't watch it for another 5-6 years.
Yeah. Well, the scene that got me, because I remember I think I had a babysitter at the time. It was my cousin. She was watching, and I came late at night.
What are you watching?
Well, yeah, and it literally was the scene where they're scuba diving and just dead body.
The head comes out of the boat.
Oh,
see, that didn't bother me.
When I was 6,
the severed leg
me.
Didn't bother me. You know what bothered me was when Quint gets killed and the blood comes out of his mouth, and that you see the shark bite down on his body. I couldn't watch the movie for
Sean's already sweating. It's so weird.
I've never seen that movie, so I.
Easy, Sean. Easy.
Sean,
never seen Jaws?
No.
Shark still is fake. But that is a great movie, and the production alone
now
on that one.
I'm not mad.
Well, we'll do
could never be mad.
I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
We'll do a summer themed.
I think I was more disappointed. Never saw Miracle on 34th Street.
There's a few classics that I haven't seen. Casablanca.
Well,
I
think Jaws in itself is so culturally relevant right now with COVID and everything, where the mayor's like, no, it's our biggest season. We have to keep everything open. People are dying.
It does. That meme is very. That's.
Yeah.
But we want to thank everybody who participated in Fan Feedback Friday. We have a lot of fun doing it, and I have way too much fun thinking up the questions. Some of them, I have some good ones in mind, but I already know the answer to one of them for Melanie. I'm not going to say which one.
Uh-oh.
Name a movie that Melanie hasn't seen.
No, we don't have time. But no, there's going to be one about.
That's totally fine.
Yeah, I know one of them. Your answer's going to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson. But anyway.
God.
Who's your
Who's everything you want your husband to be? Aw.
That wouldn't be a movie question.
I know. I'll figure out one.
Because it can't be your favorite actor, because he's not.
I know he's not your favorite actor.
Love you so much, but no, you're not my favorite actor.
No, that's fine.
Can't wait for Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh,
Jungle Cruise. I hope that he cameos in the new Fast and the Furious movie. When they're going to space, you just see him and Jason Statham going, what happened?
Oh, they're not actually in this new one?
No.
Probably not.
Hobbs and Shaw? They're not. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But
I'm not disappointed.
Neither am I. But that's going to wrap us up for Cinematic Adventures today. Don't forget, if you guys want to interact with us more, you can find us on Facebook, Cinematic Adventures. You can find our website, themisfitfaction.com. You can follow Melanie on Instagram if you're looking for a little bit, if you're trying to get that book fix. You know, you hear us talk about movies. If you want to hear a little bit more about books and self-help and, you know, kind of inspirational stuff, you can find her at Bibliophiles Assemble on Instagram. That is our Instagram goal, her page, because she has such a great following and such a great team of people that she interacts with. So if you're on Instagram, which most people are at this point, except Sean, make sure you check it out. You can also find us on Instagram, The Misfit Faction, and you can also find us on YouTube, where hopefully we'll have some video content in the next couple of days. Hopefully. And that would be the Misfit Faction Media Network. So, as always, I'm Paul.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Melanie.
And we will be back next week with Spaceballs. Bye.